Is this really how it ends for Kirk Cousins in Atlanta? Is the dream, the massive investment, the hope of a veteran leader, truly crumbling before our eyes? Because if the whispers from around the NFL are to be believed, the once heralded signing of Kirk Cousins by the Atlanta Falcons has devolved into a stunning, almost tragic, footnote in his career. Less than a year after a blockbuster deal, the man brought in to stabilize the quarterback position is now, according to some insiders, essentially finished as a starting NFL player. This isn't just a tough break. It's a bewildering, almost unbelievable turn of events that leaves us wondering, how did we get here so fast? And what does it mean for the Falcons' future? When the Atlanta Falcons inked Kirk Cousins to that monumental 4-year, $180 million deal just last offseason, the expectation was clear. This was a final, glorious chapter for a 13-year veteran quarterback, a chance to lead a talented roster to the promised land. It was supposed to be a memorable ride, a culmination of his career with a team desperate for stability under center. Instead, what we've witnessed is a dizzying descent. Less than a year after his arrival, Cousins has been unceremoniously benched in favor of Michael Penix Jr., the Falcons' surprising first-round draft pick in 2024, and has rapidly faded into the background. It's a narrative twist that few, if any, could have predicted, and it has sent shockwaves not just through the Falcons organization, but across the entire league. The most damning assessment of Cousins' current standing comes from NFL insider James Palmer. Speaking on the Scoop City podcast, Palmer revealed a perception that is both harsh and, for Falcons fans, incredibly disheartening. Some people in the league with whom I've spoken believe Kirk Cousins is basically done, Palmer stated. He did add the caveat. I don't know if that a universal thought or not, but the very existence of such a sentiment speaks volumes. Basically done. Think about that for a moment. A quarterback who, just months ago, commanded one of the largest contracts in free agency, is now being viewed by some as a spent force. This isn't just about losing a starting job. It's about a fundamental shift in how the league perceives his ability to contribute at an elite level. This perception, whether universal or not, is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Even during NFL broadcasts, Kirk Cousins has transformed from a central figure to an afterthought. Consider Atlanta's Week 2 clash against his former team, the Minnesota Vikings. A game that, under different circumstances, would have been a narrative goldmine for Cousins. Saw him barely mentioned. Television cameras offered only fleeting glimpses of him in uniform on the sideline, a silent, almost ghostly presence, perhaps clinging to a quiet hope for another chance that seems increasingly unlikely to materialize. It's a stark visual representation of his diminished role and the rapid erosion of his once prominent status. The saga of Kirk Cousins in Atlanta has been a whirlwind of unexpected turns, beginning with the Falcons' decision to draft Michael Penix Jr. just weeks after signing Cousins. That move immediately created an awkward dynamic, a clear signal that the team was already planning for a future beyond their newly acquired veteran. Cousins himself made his feelings known this offseason, reportedly expressing the Falcons owner Arthur Blank his desire to be traded. It's understandable. No competitive quarterback wants to sit on the bench, especially after such a significant financial commitment. However, Blank, perhaps understandably, had no interest in parting ways. After all, the Falcons had just committed 4 years and a staggering $180 million to Cousins. To trade him so soon, especially with the dead cap implications, would have been an admission of a catastrophic error in judgment. Blank's public statements have reflected this stance. Kirk understands the situation. He understands ours, Blank explained. He understands that we invested a lot in him, and our aspiration was for him to play for a few years, if not more. Things haven't developed that way. This is a remarkably candid admission from an owner, acknowledging that the grand plan for Cousins has gone completely awry. The Falcons maintained their position throughout the offseason, insisting that Cousins will remain on the roster as Penix's backup. Yet, the speculation persisted. If a desperate team, perhaps one ravaged by quarterback injuries, were willing to absorb his hefty contract, or at least a significant portion of it, could a deal still be struck? The 2025 NFL season has, unfortunately, been marred by a rash of quarterback injuries. High-profile starters like Joe Burrow of the Bengals, Brock Purdy of the 49ers, and J.J. McCarthy of the Vikings are just a few of the notable names sidelined. Naturally, this wave of injuries has fueled speculation about whether the Falcons might start receiving calls regarding Cousins' availability. A veteran quarterback, even one who's been benched with his experience and past production, could be an appealing option for a team suddenly without a starter and still in playoff contention. However, according to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, the Falcons are not picking up the phone. So, I reached out to a few people, and I'm not under the impression that Atlanta is moving Cousins right now, Rossini reported on September 15th. This further solidifies the Falcons' stance. Despite the potential for a trade, despite the massive financial commitment, and despite the clear desire from Cousins to play, Atlanta appears resolute in keeping him on the roster. The Cincinnati Bengals, with Joe Burrow projected to be out for up to 3 months, immediately stand out as a potential suitor. Their backup, Jake Browning, has shown flashes of efficiency, even leading the Bengals to a comeback victory over the Jaguars in Week 2. Yet, even in a situation as seemingly ideal as Cincinnati's, Rossini believes it would take truly extreme circumstances for a trade to materialize. I think it's going to take a truly desperate situation for a playoff contender to make that move, she commented. This suggests that the financial hurdles, combined with perception of Cousins' declining abilities, are simply too high for most teams, even those in dire need. For now, Kirk Cousins remains on the Falcons' sidelines, a talented but sidelined quarterback whose future is increasingly uncertain. The trade deadline isn't until November 4th, leaving a window of possibility, however slim. But if the current sentiment holds, if the league truly believes his days as a starter are basically done, then the Falcons are left with a massive contract, a bench veteran, and a very expensive backup. It's a situation that epitomizes the unpredictable, high-stakes nature of the NFL, and one that has dramatically reshaped the narrative around the Atlanta Falcons quarterback position. What do you make of these insider reports? Falcons fans, do you believe Kirk Cousins' time as a starting quarterback is truly over, or is this just a temporary setback? And what should the Falcons do with him moving forward? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth Falcons analysis and updates. We want to hear from you.